Right there. I'm getting a light.
Ready, John?
Yes, sir.
Stop in the schedule.
Well, hello, folks, and welcome to the studios here at Culpeper Media Network. My name is Jonathan Krawchuk, and yes, the polls are still open, and we're getting ready for our live election coverage beginning at 7 p.m. But we wanted to introduce the team that we have working today to the live broadcast and also introduce you to the co-host for this evening, Mr. Donnie Johnson. Donnie, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Looking forward to tonight.
It's going to be interesting.
It should be interesting.
All right, so we have a number of folks who are in the background who are doing some tests. We're testing audio, we're testing the live stream, and I just want to make sure that you still know what's going on.
I do know what's going on. Today is election day.
Yeah, and since we have this opportunity to chat real quick, tell us, obviously you voted today.
I did.
Did you see any interesting stories or polls? Did you see polls that were vacant or just overflowing, or what did you see?
Well, I think there are two races, of course, that are really prominent in this election: the Stevensburg School Board race and the Jefferson Board of Supervisors race, both highly contested races. And I did not get to any of the Stevensburg precincts, but I went to Jefferson, and there were a lot of people that were voting today. Even a day when it was as rainy and as cold and as miserable and yucky as it was today, they had already at about 1 o'clock, they had about a 35% turnout.
That's incredible.
On an off-year election, it absolutely was. But like I said, in Jefferson, they had a lot of campaigning out there, and it was a tough race.
Oh, my goodness. Well, I know we're going to be able to hear from a number of candidates, and hopefully we'll have a chance to sit down and chat with them. And, of course, we have results coming in. For those of you who are curious, since we're still going to be doing our live test for a couple more moments, let me explain to you how this process works. Now, Donnie, we were talking about the new election machines.
Right.
And now, one of the highlights of this machine is that tabulation to the website for the major reporting that we currently have access to, and which I can see right now, which viewers will see throughout the night. Because of the new system, it is going to make reporting these numbers a little quicker.
Theoretically.
Yeah. Theoretically.
We're dealing with technology here.
But the beautiful thing is, with some of the precincts that are going to come in maybe a little bit later, or they are delayed, we are going to get a picture of the physical tape from the machine. So if there are any issues, we will be getting that, hopefully for maybe 4, maybe 5 precincts. So those numbers we will have before anybody else. And that is something I'm definitely looking forward to.
And that's great because I remember elections years ago when the radio station would cover them. It would be midnight before you. It's amazing what you can do now, and if these new machines actually work as they're supposed to, should be really great for those watching.
Okay. Well, again, our live broadcast begins at 7 p.m. I don't have an indication, but I'm going to go ahead. This is the beauty of live television. We're having fun while we do this. So for those of you watching in the studio, if somebody could come and give me a thumbs up, like, hey, YouTube looks good, everything sounds great, we can go ahead and either just keep going till 7 o'clock, or we can wrap things up and get everybody in order and make sure we're ready for a 7 o'clock live broadcast. Donnie, while we're getting ready for that news from the staff here, I was thinking how many years we have been doing this, and it's been, you and I think we've done this almost 4.5, 5 years, haven't
It's been a while. It's been a while.
Oh, my goodness.
And I've enjoyed every minute of it. It's a lot of fun. I have to be on the ball for election coverage anyway. This puts me in the heart of all the activity.
All right, we'll go ahead and leave it at that. All right, folks, it seems as though everything is working fine. I want to remind you that if you are watching right now, that means you're interested in democracy, and you're already a step ahead of the game. If you're interested, again, you may be watching this on Comcast Channel 10. You might be watching this on Fios Channel 21. You might be watching this live on culpepermedia.org, or you might be watching this live in high definition on YouTube. If you like, you can leave Facebook comments, you can leave YouTube comments, but please don't call the station. That is definitely not what we want tonight. The phone ringing off.
This is democracy. Come on.
Okay, fine, you can call the station, but we may not pick up. Again, we want to thank you for tuning in for this test, and we will be back at 7 o'clock once the polls close for our live election coverage right here at Culpeper Media Network. For Donnie Johnston, I'm Jonathan Krawchuk. We want to thank you for joining us tonight. I'll go back to this one. And we'll see you. They're playing games with me right now. They're having fun, and that's fine by me. We'll see you at 7 o'clock for our live broadcast right here at Culpeper Media Network. Until then, stay dry and have a great night. We'll see you soon.
Sayonara.
Well, hello everyone and welcome to the studios here at Culpeper Media Network. My name is Jonathan Krawchuk and it is time for our live broadcast, our live election coverage here at Culpeper Media Network. First and foremost, I want to thank you for tuning in, whether you're tuning in on Comcast, Channel 10, Fios, Channel 21, online at culpepermedia.org, or in HD on YouTube. We want to thank you for tuning in tonight. By the way, we do have a Facebook presence and a YouTube presence, so if you hear of anything today, you want to give us some feedback for this evening, or maybe if you have a question for the candidates, we'd love to try to let your voice be heard. So leave a comment on Facebook or on our YouTube page, and maybe we'll be able to get those questions or comments into some of our guests this evening. Now, as always, we are extremely happy to have a gentleman who knows far more than I do regarding pretty much everything, Mr. Donnie Johnston. Donnie, how are you, buddy?
I'm fine, thank you. And I don't know if I know more than anybody or you, but we'll do our best.
I think the only thing I got you on is the usage of the iPad, maybe.
I don't know. I think I can handle that.
Now, Donnie, it has been an amazing day. We were talking earlier about voter turnout, and if you wouldn't mind, before we get started with our first guest, I'd like to start with some good news. So tell me the story you were talking about earlier.
Well, I was at one of the Jefferson District precincts, and both those precincts out there, Hazel River Church and Jefferson precinct out there, both had over 600, almost 650, 675 voters by 1 o'clock. Out of 4,200, that's about 35% on a rainy, yucky, cold day. I thought that was amazing. But then you had two candidates out there for the Board of Supervisors that really worked hard, and the voters came out. They got the voters' attention on that, and that's what it's all about.
Well, that's definitely one of the things we're going to talk about tonight. We do have a number of contested elections. And Donnie, you know what? This gentleman's been waiting. He was one of the first people to come in the door for a guest. So I think what we're going to do now is we're going to take a moment and welcome our first guest, if it's okay by you. I mean, because I'm just checking to make sure. If we can welcome the current delegate, Nick Freitas. Nick, come on in, buddy.
Oh, thank you.
How are you? I'd stand up, but I'm mic'd.
No, please don't.
Hey,
please
Nicholas.
Don't. How you doing?
I'm going to take a seat.
Thank you.
First off, thanks for coming by. I know it's a rainy, dreary, or yucky day, as some would say.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you coming by to say hey.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure.
This is not your first time in studio.
No.
And since I have you here on camera, I want to say thank you again for coming in and doing War Veterans History of Our Heroes. It was a great show.
Oh, it was my pleasure. Thank you all very much for doing it.
We have a new season coming up soon, but I don't want to spill the beans too early.
Good deal.
My first question to you, and it pretty much is going to be the question that we raise to all the candidates who stop by, is how do you think your campaign went?
I think it went very well. We stayed very positive the entire time through. We never sent out a single negative mailer, a single negative radio address. We focused a lot on what we said we would do, what we had done, and what we were looking forward to do next session. And so I give a lot of credit to our campaign staff and our volunteers. They did an excellent job. My wife, Mom, kids were all here today making phone calls and working the polls, and campaign manager Tyler, Tina, Gina, Christian, all of them. Sigourney did just a wonderful job, so I can't thank them enough.
Well, before I turn you over to Donnie, you've done some great work for the area, and I want to say thanks. But really quickly, just since I have you here, what do you feel has been your biggest accomplishment in your term so far?
There's a couple of things. I really like that we got increased government transparency with respect to our budget, but the two things I'm probably most proud of has to do with education policy. We moved a significant amount of the decision-making authority on things like filling teacher shortages, getting more career technical educators. We returned that authority from Richmond back to the local communities and to our school boards, and I just think that's critical as we're looking at preparing the next generation to be able to compete in a 21st century economy with a diverse array of educational opportunities. Being able to do that was significant, and so getting those two bills signed into law is probably what I'm most proud of.
Wonderful. Donnie?
Well, I just want to congratulate you and the General Assembly on getting vocational education, or the upgrade that they call it now, back into the focus of the people, because I have lobbied for that for years. I have written column after column after column about these kids that graduate from high school and they have no trade or skill. So I think that was great, and I applaud you for handling that.
Thank you.
And you know, he knew that I was going to ask him what happened to the Dodgers. But we already discussed that out there, and he doesn't have an answer.
I don't.
Just like I don't. So, did you get cold out there today?
It got a little chilly. Well, my Ranger buddy, Senator Bryce Reeves, he came out and he had a good pocket rain jacket for me to put on, so that saved me about halfway through the day. But we stayed out there at the polls, and again, I'm just amazed at the turnout, because generally when you have inclement weather like this, sometimes it depresses turnout a little bit, and I don't think that was the case this time. But yeah, I got a little cold.
Well, even in, you were talking about that, even in Culpeper District where I voted, where there were no local races, I mean, as far as supervisors, I mean, we had 35% turnout there by 1 o'clock, and that's pretty doggone good.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, I think people were definitely, you know, we always talk about off-year elections already having a lower voter turnout, and then you throw in the inclement weather and you're just not really sure what you're going to get. And I think we're well ahead of 2013 numbers, which is a similar race to this one. So I think that's encouraging.
Well, I thought you ran a good campaign.
Thank you, Don.
And we'll see how it goes.
We will,
and we'll know.
All right, so I've heard that you'll be your campaign, not headquarters, but your station for the evening is going to be local. Yes. I'm assuming you have a few supporters out in local downtown. We do. It's interesting. So the Democrats are actually hosting. There's a Fargon Brewery, and we're going to be at Beer Hound Brewery. So we're making ample use of our local breweries here in Culpeper for our election night parties for our staff and whatnot. And again, a chance to just say thank you to all of them for all the work that they put in, not just today, but all the months leading up to it. Oh, wonderful. Since again we have you in studio and we're waiting our next guest. If you were to win as an incumbent, I guess one of the questions I wanted to ask you is, when you're running for re-election, have issues come up that you feel that weren't necessarily addressed, or new issues have come up that you're looking to investigate or move towards? Well, I think a lot of the issues that we had already been focused on came up during the campaign, and we addressed it. And again, we felt like it was an obligation to make sure that we were continuing to operate like we were going to get reelected, because you have to get bills in for draft. You have to still be handling constituent services. And if you're not doing the work of an incumbent, the real work of being a delegate, besides campaigning, then you're not setting up your district for success when you go into the next legislative session. So we've already got bills being drafted. We've already got committee resolutions being drafted. We're already working with my colleagues in the House of Delegates. And if something were to happen, then these are something that we could transfer to the incoming delegate. But that's the responsibility, is to keep working like you're going to and be able to transfer if you can.
Let me ask you one question.
Sure.
A lot of politicians go into office and it's not really what they expected. Have you enjoyed this?
So yeah, I have. There's definitely, one thing I always say is that my entire professional career and persona was shaped by the military. And when you're in the military, people take you at your word. And when you're a politician, then people are more skeptical of you. And that took some getting used to for me. But I understand it, and so that part was different. I think with campaigning, there's certain things I love getting out and talking to people. I like legislating. I like constituent services, but yeah. So I really have enjoyed it. And there's a lot of good people down there on both sides of the aisle that are really just trying to do the best by their constituents and stay within their own conscience. So it's good.
And if we can do away with the aisle, I think we may have a chance in this country. The aisle. That is one of those great dividers.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, again, Nick, if I may call you Nick.
Oh, please, yeah.
I want to thank you again for stopping by today. I know it has been an arduous day and a long campaign. And I will echo the sentiment of my co-host. I think you ran a great campaign.
Thank you.
And I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you very much. And again, thank you for everything you do here for the community, both of you. It's very much appreciated.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I hope you have a great night.
Thank you.
Just watch your step as you head out.
I will. Take care.
And get the Dodgers back next year.
We'll get them on back next year. Okay.
Now, I hope nobody plays the theme from West Side Story down in downtown Culpeper tonight. All right, so Donnie, I'm going to go ahead and check our numbers. For those of you folks watching out there, I hate saying the words "out there." I want to remind you that we talked briefly regarding the new system. Hopefully, with the new scannable entries, the reporting is going to be really quick, and I think that is the case. But there are going to be some times where we will get numbers before a number of other folks for the benefits of technology. So we're going to keep. I'm going to keep updating this and looking at it and making sure that we do have numbers as quick as humanly possible. But one of the things I do like to do is welcome more guests into the studio. And this time we are looking at, I'm sorry, you know, you look familiar. I've seen you before somewhere. Mayor Mike Ollinger, first off, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Now, Mike, been a tough race.
It has.
It's been a real tough race. So how do you think your campaign went so far?
Well, it says a lot of what's going on in town. I mean, things are smooth. You know, we don't have any controversy going on. I think we've got a good council right now.
You know, when during the candidate forums, you mentioned those as well, and I think it is really it's a testament to what's happening. You know, you're running unopposed, and I think the community feels that way. That everything is running smoothly. I know we have a great staff. I know we have a pretty darn good mayor. Council's fantastic. Trying to think. I mean, there have been hard times and things you've had to work through, but I mean, you and the council as a whole have been doing really well and working together, have you not?
Yes, we have. And I attribute that to our staff. I mean, we've got a great manager that is a very forward thinker. I mean, he brings us ideas. We look at what he brings us, and it just, I mean, it's easy to sit there and make a decision when you have someone like our manager and his staff under him that has the experience and the wherewithal to, I mean, an example is the water tower that he just negotiated with the Baptist Home and Three Flags. I mean, how do you get a 400,000 gallon water tower for $220,000? I mean, that's all it's going to cost the taxpayer.
I'll be honest with you, I have no idea, and that's why we have such wonderful staff.
It's why we have a great staff.
And you go back to the budget. Budget is always tough, either Board of Supervisors or the town council, and sometimes you can't figure it out. I know from a newspaper person's point of view, it's sometimes tough. But this budget was easy. It was, I think everybody on the council understood it. I understood it, and I think the guy did a great job.
And we certainly don't give you a lot to write about. We have a 15 or 20-minute council meeting.
You certainly don't.
I mean, we do a lot of hard work in committee.
And I hope, Mr. Mayor, in your second term here, that you will do a little bit better on that. Drag it out just a little bit so I'll have something to write about.
I barely have time to set up the cameras when I'm ready to take them down. But again, that is a testament to the hard work done by staff behind the scenes. Right. So. And now, since we have you in the chair, and we like to talk about really good things, and you mentioned a few of them, specifically the water tower. And one of the questions that was talked about in the candidate forums was the idea of a public-private partnership. And one of the examples brought up, and I think wonderfully so, was the Lake Pelham Adventures. You guys have to be, town as a whole, has to be extremely pleased with how that has turned out.
Yes. Well, I mean, that's a prime example of a great public-private partnership. And the other one is the Homeowners Association agreement with the town and Lakeview subdivision and the trail extension to Yalmetta Park. And again, that's staff and forward thinking. And reaching out to these folks and getting it done.
I don't think I've ever heard the town complimented so well as with Lake Pelham Adventures.
Well, and it's a great form of recreation.
They love that. People love that. And if I could swim, I would go out there and do it myself.
We got life jackets.
I don't know. I don't trust that.
But there's even videos on how to use them.
Yeah, well, that's... But that was good. And the architecture on the building down next to Gay Hearts, I want to compliment you on that.
What was...
I'm missing something.
The building up there on the top of the hill.
Okay.
And that's going to look a lot better.
Oh yeah, yes.
I'm being facetious here, and he doesn't.
Hey, we're going to really decorate that up with some shrubs and screening and make it look nice.
And the park that comes after, we're all looking forward to that.
Well, if you haven't had the opportunity, you need to go out there and walk over the hill and look at the trail that's been cut all the way around through there. There's a complete walking trail that will be paved before it's all finished, but it's going to be a great addition.
It's going to be nice.
Yeah, and in fact, I can't remember the exact number, but there was there was a massive number, I think it was, of linear feet of new trails that have been done, and that is really, again, in addition to something for folks to do. It's improving the way of life here. So I think you guys are doing a great job.
Thank you.
Sorry, you have to pardon me. I have a direct
waiting
link
for
to the
the
general
numbers?
registrar, and I heard a ding, and so Adriana was just texting me about something with the Facebook page. But yeah, we're all good. Don, you have any more questions?
Well,
for
no,
Steve
I
from
was
there?
just going to compliment him too on the way that the town and the county are working together these days. We were discussing that. Pronis was in the back a little while ago, and Sue Hansen was over there. We were discussing the old days when there was so much animosity between the two groups, and now everybody
along
works
great.
together.
We get along great.
Yep. And that's how you get things done.
That's it.
I think that kind of stems from the water and sewer agreement. I mean, I know there were a number of meetings that were held, a number of meetings, and I think after that it was a sense of relief, and I think really that kind of paved the way for the great relationship that is being evident today.
Right.
And I'll have to give some credit to Chip Coleman on that, because he did help get that. He was one of the driving forces, he and Frank Bosio, that got that going. So I need to get credit where credit's due on that.
All right, and one more question, Mike, before we let you go. If you would like to share some ideas with how the town council race, have you seen it been going, or any idea, or any feedback that you heard from citizens, or just any thoughts in general?
I mean, the way I see things, I think that I feel pretty confident the incumbents are going to be, they're going to prevail.
Okay.
I mean, I don't see, we didn't have any controversy. We haven't had any for the last couple of years. So, and I think it says a lot by the number of folks that came out to actually run against those folks.
And
I
we
mean,
had
one person run.
Yeah.
And all five were good candidates.
Yes, they
and
were.
good people.
Sure.
So I think any four of those that win,
Absolutely.
we got to be happy
Yeah,
with.
their hearts are definitely for the community.
They absolutely are. But I'm with you. I think it's going to be tough to beat the four incumbents.
Yes.
Okay. Well, again, Mike, if you want to hang out, you're more than welcome to. Again, we are dealing with a live broadcast, and I got a message from the General Registrar, James Clements of Culpeper County, and it looks as though I have an initial report from Lignum. Although the way he said it, he said Lignum but not coming in. But yet I have the information. So if you want to hang out for a few moments, or you need to go, I'll go ahead and go through here. I just gotta. This is the beauty of technology. You got to give.
I'll talk to him about one thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Did you have any trouble today voting?
I did not.
Because this year we went to, I felt like it was
Paper
a high
ballot.
school with Scantrons, and you
Yeah.
had multiple
Felt
choice.
like I was taking an SOL test.
Yeah, something like that. And I talked to one gentleman in the back his name I will not mention, but he was on the town council, and he's with a fire company, and he said that at R.E. Dean, and he said, I went in there and checked that thing, and you're supposed to black it
Mark it,
out.
right.
And I think there are probably people who circle names,
Yep.
and I don't know exactly how that's going to go, but I know he said they corrected his.
I did run into a couple of folks that said, I need to go back to the car and get my glasses.
The print was a little small.
Yeah.
It was, but that was a little different. So.
All right, you guys, if I may break in. Now, again, I want to remind everybody that any results that we post or talk about throughout the night, even until tomorrow or a little time after, all of these results are going to be unofficial. This is the report that I have from Lignum, which is in the Stevensburg district. We're going to concentrate on one race. In that race in the Stevensburg district, the contestant race that we're looking for is the school board between Marshall Keene and Elizabeth Hutchins.
Yes.
And one of the things I'm looking at, again, these are unofficial numbers, and this is the first report. We have Marshall Keene with 291 votes and Elizabeth Hutchins with 248. Now, again, this is solely from the Lignum area, Lignum precinct in the Stevensburg district. Again, let me report those numbers for school board. We have Marshall Keene with 291 votes and Elizabeth Hutchins with 248. Now, Donnie, I just want you to see what I'm seeing. So this is from the new machines.
Right.
This is a printout of the vote tabulation from that individual precinct, and it's been sent to me. So these numbers are coming in before anybody is going to see them. We want to thank James Clements over at the Culpeper County Voter Registration Office, the General Registrar, for providing me with this information. There are more numbers coming from Lingnum, but right now we just want to concentrate on the contested races. What I can tell you is that Mr. Chase also, if you want to know, has 470 votes. I'm pretty sure he's going to carry that one.
I think so.
All right.
And that is there are only two really contested races, one in the county, besides the town council, one in the county, the board of supervisors and the school board. But both those races were very hard-fought races. I mean, those guys went at it tooth and nail. And it's going to be interesting with that school board race down there, because whoever wins that it's going to determine who will lead the next school board as far as chairman is concerned, because the politics there, from what I understand, a lot of it's going to be determined by who wins that race, and it's going to be a close one.
Well, I believe we will definitely get into the topic of discussion a little bit later on. But again, Mike, I want to thank you for coming in. Any parting thoughts? Oh, you're ready to go.
I'm ready to go.
Mike, thanks so much for coming in.
Donnie, thank you.
See you, Michael.
All right.
All right, now Donnie, again, we just had our first results come in. Want to make sure that everyone knows all the results that we give you throughout the night are going to be unofficial. It's just the way things go. Until they're certified, they are not official, and that does take a little bit of time. Want to remind you again, for that one precinct in the Stevensburg district, the contested race we were looking at is, again, I probably want to keep it where it was. Marshall Keene had 291 votes, and Elizabeth Hutchins with 248. That is from one precinct in the Stevensburg district. So more votes to come in, and we'll keep those going as we move along. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to welcome to the stage, so to speak, or the studio, is Mr. Keith Price, current town councilman, and up for re-election.
Yeah, hi John. Hi Donnie. Good to see y'all.
Keith?
Hey, actually, before I love doing this on live TV. I'm going to put you on the spot in just a moment.
Oh, please, yeah.
But I need to talk with staff. We had a couple people. Hey, Haley, if you wouldn't mind coming into the hallway in line of sight, I'd appreciate that. First off, do me a favor. There is a picture on my filing cabinet in my desk up top that has his name on it. Can you please bring it to me?
Oh my gosh.
I know you're in big trouble.
Morning poster, I suppose.
Most likely. First off, again, we talked with Mr. Olwinger regarding this. We have 5 people running for 4 seats. And he mentioned that's kind of a testament to the way smoother things are going. But how do you think things have been going for you?
Well, I've been on council for 3.5 years, as you know. My term was short because we shifted from May elections to November elections. But for me personally, in terms of the campaign, it's a tremendous amount of fun. It's a lot of work. You know, I mean, I put out several hundred door hangers and talk to folks, and just going around and getting coordination for ads, and I had some radio spots, which I think a couple of people actually had even heard. So it was a great experience, as the first run was, and I got a lot of positive feedback. And it's a real buzz when you walk through the neighborhoods and you talk to people and get their feedback on things, and then maybe you look into something for them and pass the answer back, and they're very appreciative. And it's just a good feeling to be able to do that.
Well, before I turn you over to Donnie, in your canvassing and going door to door, what were some of the feedback that you heard, or some of the maybe most notable feedback, I guess, you heard?
Well, I know one lady was very concerned about homelessness, not only in the town but in the county. But of course, it primarily manifests itself in the town. And that's not really directly a town issue. But I made arrangements to put her in contact with some county officials who can address that. But she was very concerned with that, with the homelessness, and why can't local government do more to help address that problem? The other concerns are more local things like construction in the neighborhood that kicks up too much dirt and dust, and is the builder within the guidelines and what they're doing, those kinds of nuts and bolts things.
Okay. Now, Donnie, do you have a question for Mr. Price?
Well, I just want to tell Keith that how much I appreciate his work on the town council.
Oh, thank you very much.
You do some really good work there with questions, and sometimes some of the issues that come up to be voted on are not really clear, and I can always depend on you to ask a question, to bring it out so the folks on TV can figure out exactly what's going on, and that is very important.
Thank you, Donnie, and I appreciate you saying that because on occasion I will ask questions that maybe I already know what the answer is, but I would think if I was watching this, what would I want to know? And I'll ask those questions just to clarify, maybe for the rest of the council, but also for the public who may be watching on television or read the coverage in the newspaper. So I do try to do that just to help explain some of the issues that might be less than clear. But thank you for noticing that.
And it's obvious that you do, and I really appreciate it because sometimes I'm kind of out of the loop on some of that stuff too, although I try to do my homework on that. Now, in the next 3 or 4 years, right now, there are not a lot of controversial projects going on. Everybody's getting along really well, but what are some of the projects you think that will be important to the county or to the town over the next 3-4 years during your term?
Well, looking forward, I mean, we're continuing to develop the town park and trail system. We have a great staff who's got a great plan for implementing that, and as we maybe acquire different properties or develop what we've got, like Rockwater Park is coming along, so those kinds of things. Quality of life amenities, making the town a more attractive, a safer place, a place that we're all proud to call home. So those are the things that I most value being able to provide input in, and I'm the town council rep to the Planning Commission, also on the Public Safety Public Works Committee, so I'm well positioned to provide a lot of ideas and feedback into the town's development so that it grows smartly. It's not so we control the sprawl. We don't end up like another Manassas or Fredericksburg.
And Lake Pelham Ventures, we gotta talk about that. We talked about it with Mike a little while ago. That's one of the great additions to the town and to the area. A lot of people have used that, enjoyed that, and my compliments to you all for coming through with that. That's something that I don't think, and I've heard this said before many times from the public, we didn't think the government would ever come up with something that good.
Well, I'm glad you said that actually, because when we bought the property for Rockwater Park, shortly thereafter I talked to a lady who told me, she says, I'm proud to live in a town where the town officials have the vision to take an action like that, to buy a piece of property and then turn it into what's going to be a great park. But Lake Pelham Adventures, I mean, all praise to Chris Hovley for that was his idea, but the critical role for the council is we have enough sense to know when there's a good idea and we say, yeah, go for it. In other bodies, other members would nitpick something like that to death, but usually when the staff comes up with a really solid idea, like Lake Pelham Adventures is one, and Rockwater Park, and other things, the council, we provide some guidance, but we have enough vision to see the possibilities in things. And we have a very talented staff. I mean, creative thinkers, great problem solvers, but they are almost, especially Chris, some of the senior staff, almost visionaries. I mean, they see possibilities.
Yeah, Mike was talking about the water tower and how much cheaper we got that water tower, and that was a great job.
Yeah.
All right, so again, that's it. Oh, fantastic. I'm glad they did this. I had this, if you allow me to interject off of elections for just a moment. War Veterans, History of Our Heroes.
Yes.
You did some great work with that.
Oh, thank you
and
very much.
I wanted to say thank you. Now, we were the recipients of 2 Telly Awards this year, and one of those was for that show. And because of your help with it, I wanted to present you a certificate of thanks for what you did for that show.
Yeah. Well, that's wonderful. I appreciate that. I'll treasure this.
It's
I had
got
no
your name
idea.
on it and everything.
Yes, it does. Well, it was my honor to be able to help you and Anita do that. I mean, you guys did the work. I mean, I just simply maybe put us in contact with a few folks who are willing to be interviewed. But to be able to sit over there on that side of the room and watch some of the vets, tell their stories from Vietnam or World War II, I mean, it was an extraordinary experience.
It was fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
And also, thank you for telling your story too.
Well, thank you. That was a lot of fun as well. So yeah, it was a great experience all around. So anyway, but many congratulations to you for winning the Telly Award for that, because you drove the train for that. You got it going, and the rest of us just helped you.
It's all Jeffrey Stanfield back there. He's the guy in the corner who's quiet and unassuming, and he knows all the hard work.
Yeah, the unsung hero.
I know, right? Again, I would like to echo some of the sentiments said by Donnie. It is evident that you do your homework.
Oh, thank you.
You let folks know. You basically make it so everybody can understand. And you and the council have done great work, and I know if you continue to serve on council, which I'm pretty sure you will,
I hope so.
I know you're going to continue to do just that.
Well, I do appreciate that. Being elected to council initially in 2014 was one of the greatest honors of my life. The fact that your fellow citizens will pick you to represent them and to shape the development of the place where they live. I mean, that's a huge honor, and it's a great responsibility. And I took that very seriously. And so, I mean, I see that as being an advocate for the citizens to make sure Culpeper becomes what we all want it to be. And also, if people have issues or questions or problems or whatever, to be as responsive as I can, even if it's not always the answer they want to get. But, usually people are just happy to know that somebody's listening to them and taking their concerns seriously.
That is one of the big things in life. People don't necessarily want you. They understand that you can't solve their problems, but please listen to me.
That's right.
They want to be heard and think somebody is there to at least hear them.
Exactly that. Exactly that.
Well, again, Keith, I want to thank you for your service in many respects.
Thank you.
And also thank you for your time this evening.
All right. It's wonderful.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Hey, take care. Have a great
Thank you, John.
night.
Thank you, Donnie. Good seeing you again.
Good luck, buddy.
All right. Thank you. See you guys later.
All right, Donnie, I was just looking over, and I haven't seen any new information pour in just yet, but you better be darn sure that I will continue to keep tabs on it.
We're just hoping that the technology is working the way you predicted
Well,
it would work.
I was getting a little nervous because it's 7:34 in the p.m., and James Clemens, we were talking earlier, he said about it might even be like 15 minutes after.
But see, it all has to go through the cloud.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of rain in that cloud today.
You make a really good point.
Yeah.
All right. Well, to rain on no one's parade yet, but we are going to welcome another guest to the studio. This young lady, it's been a really tough race for you.
It was tough.
The worst. Betsy Smith, thank you for coming in today. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, tell us. I saw you this morning over at REC, and you've been running around having an interesting day. Or how has the day been going?
It was actually a lot busier than I expected it to be. I really thought it would be a lower turnout because of the weather, but it was not.
Really?
Yes. And I was at Rappahannock Electric, and then I went over to the church, the Community Fellowship Church.
So, what did you see today? Did you see a lot of folks, or I mean?
I did.
Okay.
I saw a lot of folks, a steady stream.
Oh, that's good. That's very good. Donnie?
Well, I just want to compliment you, as I have a couple of these other people, on the job you do on the school board. And
Thank you.
I know you'll do well the next 4 years. What are some of the problems you think you may have to solve in the next term?
Some of the problems.
Or some of the anything that needs to be done. And you might want to talk about vocational education. I think that's the big thing right now that all across the state is looking at.
Exactly. And what really happened was quite a few years ago, almost nationwide, and our state especially, really focused on every student being college ready, which is really unfortunate because not everyone is geared for college, and not every successful track is a college track.
I have preached that sermon many times in many columns.
And we honestly tried to, too. One of the biggest roles, I think, of the school board is being an advocate for our school, knowing what's going on and going back out. So we go to the supervisors, we go to the state representatives, and we did a lot of going to our legislators and pleading that. But it really honestly took the turnover when a lot of really the baby boomers kind of moved out of those vocational high-paying, high-skilled jobs and there was no one coming in. There was actually a void. And then the state woke up and said, oh, maybe we do need.
And you made a point there. You have to be, and a lot of people don't understand this, when you're on a school board, you have to be an advocate for the school system.
Absolutely.
And also you have to be an advocate for what is coming down from Richmond, because
Right.
that is what determines
Exactly.
how well your school system will
Exactly.
function in a state.
Right.
And if they don't want vocational education, as they haven't for a long time, then you can't really push it.
Well, it's not even if they don't want it. What happened is they wanted so many other things that there's not enough time in a student's high school career to put in the vocational and all those requirements that they were demanding. So vocational, or CTE, it's really not vocational, but the technical education kind of got moved. It got crowded out because they had to have these other
SOLs.
Right, and that is something, yeah, we have a teacher shortage, and I think part of that is the SOLs and that stress. So that's actually what got me in this game in the first place. Was I was leery of the schools. I didn't want to put my children in public school because of the failing schools, and I finally needed to. They needed just the variety, the different teachers and the different things that the public school offers. I put them in the public school and learned. I volunteered to figure out why the school was a failing school, and figured out really quickly it was not at all a failing school. So I dug into the No Child Left Behind and the SOLs to figure out why it was failing, or why we were labeled that, and went all the way to DC fighting that law.
Good for you.
So we do it in, we really do most of our advocating in the state legislature, but we will go federal when we need to, and just really try to show them how their laws, their great sounding laws, or until they get played out in the school, in the classroom, and how they affect the classroom. Sometimes a whole different story. So we go back and share how it's affecting us.
It's kind of like these computers and the toys we're playing with tonight. It's good in theory, but sometimes it doesn't
Right.
always. And by the way, I ran into your brother Jimmy not long ago at a VDOT meeting. He looks good down in King George.
He does. He looks young.
He's on the board of supervisors, right?
He is.
Yeah, King George.
Right. He's done that for quite a while.
All right. Again, thank you for what you've done and continue to do.
Thank you.
I'm going to take this opportunity. Again, we have a direct line with our General Registrar, James Clements, and we are looking at some more results that are unofficial. This time, if you allow me to interject just a moment.
Please.
We're looking at the Brandy Station precinct, which is located obviously in the, I don't know why I said just obviously, Brandy Station in the Stevensburg district. And one of the races that we are following closely in that is the school board race between Marshall Keene and Elizabeth Hutchins. Again, this is one of the precincts in Stevensburg districts. And as we look to the school board race, we have Elizabeth Hutchins with 317 votes and Marshall Keene with 738 votes. There's a very large discrepancy from the Brandy Station precinct. Again, in the school board race from the Brandy Station precinct in the Stevensburg district, Elizabeth Hutchins with 317 votes and Marshall Keene with 738. These are unofficial results, but these are the first results that we're getting from the General Registrar's office, and they will continue to come in throughout the evening.
Well, with those two precincts there and the margin of victory at Brandy, it's going to be tough. I think there's one more precinct to be.
Richardsville is the only Stevensburg.
I think you could almost call that for Marshall Keene right now.
That is, I mean, that's over 400 vote discrepancy, and he had, I think it was 40 votes in the Lignum. So that is going to be very interesting.
And that was a hard-fought race.
It really was.
Between those two people. Of course, Elizabeth has been on there for 16 years, and she's one of the hardest working school board members that I've known in the past. And Marshall has new ideas, and it's going to be interesting to see how he implements those new ideas if he gets on there. And we stress that these numbers are unofficial. But if that's the case in Brandy, I think it's almost over.
Yeah, and again, these you mentioned the unofficial, but if those votes are pretty close, I mean that's a 420 and then another 40 on the side, and again it depends on the turnout in Richardsville.
And there are not that
But
many
there's
voters
not-
in Richardsville.
You'd have to have a lot of turnout.
Yeah.
But again, these are unofficial results. We're going to wait a little bit to. I mean, we won't officially call it because nothing's called until it's official results, and these are unofficial. But that looks like it's possible, very possible, that Mr. Keene will be taking the school board seat away from Elizabeth Hutchins.
And that is a big upset.
It is. Elizabeth's been on the board for a number of years. She's been working at the school system since I came through it.
Yep.
So that's interesting as well.
And that changes, if that happens, that's going to change the politics of the school board. That will affect who becomes the next chairman. We may be looking at her right over here.
That's hard to say.
It is.
Yeah, there are lots of things that would go into that, but my biggest goal, school board wise, is us working together as a team.
Mm-hmm. And let's
So-
hope that continues.
Absolutely.
Because you have a good team now.
That we do have a good team now.
Yeah, and I think everybody on the board is professional, and they'll continue to work for the betterment of the school
Absolutely.
system and the kids. I'm sure of that.
Right.
All right. Well, Betsy, again, I know you've had an extremely long day, and I know you've been working really hard out of polls. I see you got
Thank
your
you.
duck boots on.
Yes, I told him not to get my boots. I have nicer looking boots, but yes, it was freezing cold. I was out there all day.
Yeah.
And my daughter was with me from 10 in the morning until we closed.
Wow.
So we popped around a few different polling stations, but we were out all day. We took a 30-minute break. She begged me.
Please.
That's dedication.
It is. Well, I don't want to even look like I take anything for granted. I think it's a huge privilege to be on the school board. And I appreciate the trust.
I know you work really hard. I know you
Thank
do.
you.
Well, again, thank you for coming in. I appreciate it. I
bet.
hope you enjoy
Thank
the
you.
remainder of your evening. Maybe relax,
Thanks.
stay dry, and stay warm.
I'm trying to stay dry. Yeah. Thanks.
All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Well, Donnie, that's pretty interesting. We're looking at I think it was 530. I'm not doing math right now because I can only do so much. But as we look at that is an interesting, again, we need more votes coming in from, obviously, Richardsville, but as we talked about before, that's going to be a tough margin to overcome.
It's going to be really tough because Richardsville doesn't have that many, and he's got a big lead, and it's going to be an upset. If it goes through, it's going to be a big upset.
All right. Well, as we wait for more numbers to come in, it's time to welcome yet another guest to the studios here at Culpeper Media Network. Welcome for current Town Councilman John Russell. John, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing good. Thank you.
Good to see you. Good to see
John?
you.
See you.
Now again, I'll start with every question the question I ask all the candidates. How do you think your campaign went?
I thought it went well. We did a lot of door knocking, and we also did mailers, did some robocalls yesterday, yes, to get out the vote, and worked the polls really hard. Had a good team at most all the polls, asking voters to make the decision to send me back for one more term. So I think it went well.
Now, I noticed in the candidate forums, you've been extremely gracious about being able to serve the people for the past 3.5
years, yeah.
And I think you did a pretty darn good job.
Yeah, thank you.
And I mean, obviously, you're looking forward to continue that. But
Yes.
if you were to continue on town council, what's next for you?
There's two areas that I really want to focus on. And I don't know if you know this, my sister died of a heroin overdose.
I did hear about that. I'm sorry for your loss.
Yeah, 3 weeks ago. And so I really want to make that a centerpiece of the next 4 years for me, and how we can work, how our police department and churches and the community can work together to solve this problem, because we are the #1 overdose in the region for heroin and opioids. And so that's going to be a big issue for me to take on. The other is I'd like to work towards making Culpeper a place where startup companies can come. I think that's something that's very important for us. We have a lot to offer. We have the infrastructure, the workforce. We also have the space for them to set up shop, and we have a low regulatory and a low tax environment here in Culpeper. So those are really going to be two big things that I'm going to put my work into in the next 4 years.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I was just going to say you've had some really good projects that have come through in the last 3 or 4 years, and if you keep that going, I think the citizens of the town will be very appreciative, and
We've been able to add extra parks to our inventory without raising taxes to pay for them, and so that's been really good. The citizens have been very appreciative of that. Lake Pelham over at the that we put over the Old Country Store, the boat rental, canoe rental, that has worked out really well and actually has now paid for itself in the initial investment that we made. And so there is a lot. Of course, we have Rockwater Park coming on, and then we're looking at some other park space too.
And the beautiful building.
Yes.
There on top of the hill that everybody walks by. I think they'll paint your picture on that. And something like that.
Well, you know, there's definitely going to be some stuff done about that.
I have heard more about that building than any building I think has been built in town.
Really?
Oh yeah, and it hasn't been favorable, but we're going to get some. We're going to cover that up.
Well, get some nice landscaping.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, you certainly could notice it. That's for sure.
Yeah, you always see that. That's the first thing you see when you go down there.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that has been. I'm anxious to see the park when it gets finished.
Yes.
Because I think that's going to be a really good addition too.
It will.
And as I've told the other guys, people compliment Lake Pelham Adventures out there. I mean, that's one of the best things that's happened in a long time.
Yeah, a lot of people are coming in. You know, tourism is a huge thrust for us. It brings in a lot of revenue. That's going to help attract people to come. And going in the future, as we try to make our tourism more robust, it's definitely going to play a huge part of that.
So I want to go back to some of the stuff you were talking about. What was the kind of the feel and the turnout that you saw, or feedback, or what some of the discussions you were having at the polls today?
So it was interesting. Well, in the polls, just even at door knocking, it was a totally different feel than it was 3.5 years ago.
Really?
When I was around 3.5 years ago, it was, we need new blood, we need new change. This time at the doors, I actually heard people say, the incumbents are doing a good job, we want to keep them. And that was a different different feedback than I had been expecting. But it's been not a lot of drama, and it's been something we've kept our eyes focused on the goal and improving the town. And so I think a lot of that the voters have really reacted to that. The number one thing that I've heard at the door of any problems there are in town usually has to do with stormwater runoff. That is the biggest issue that I've run into. In every neighborhood. And just a lot of it's because of the development boom that we had back in the, 2000s.
Got to go somewhere.
Yeah, it does.
It does, and that's just the problem with asphalt.
Yeah.
It's not very porous.
That's right.
That's what you need to do. You need to be on the stormwater management team.
No, they'd probably drop me down the sewer, and that'd be the end of me.
Well, you would still be managing stormwater.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
Well, we have 100-year-old water drains, so you could probably fit in those because they're pretty big.
Talk to me about the Spring Street deal down there.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I think caught a lot of people off guard.
Yeah.
I know you wanted to put a recreation center
Yes.
down there, and it was not a good place for a recreation
right.
center down at the end of an established neighborhood.
Right.
But tell us a little bit about the new addition that's going down there if it goes through.
Yeah, so as many people read the headlines, there was a bid that came in for $100 or for $1 to purchase the property down there. And what will happen if this goes through, the developer will then make it a historic site and will then put apartments in the existing structures. So revitalizing that area.
Now we're talking about the old water plant,
the old water,
and the
electric,
old electric plant.
That's right. Yeah, so for us to turn it into a green field and just leave it green would cost us over $1 million. In order for us to revitalize it and make it into something like a small community center or something, would still cost us over $1 million. This is actually going to cost us nothing, and we're actually going to provide more housing for people, which is something that a lot of residents have said they need more affordable housing. So I think it's a win-win for us.
I agree with you. I think it's a very, very good deal.
Yeah.
All right. Well, again, John, Mr. Russell, again, I appreciate what you do for the town.
Thank you.
And, I'm pretty sure the odds are ever in your favor, that's for sure.
Well, I hope. It's up to God.
Well, you've been again doing some great work, and you've been out there. And again, one of the things that we've noticed is it's been a great campaign run by pretty much everybody on town council. I think that
it has. I mean, even Hank is the challenger. I mean, he's been out knocking doors like crazy, and has upped his game from the last couple of times he ran. So we'll see how that plays into the election results tonight.
All right.
Yeah.
Again, John, thank you so much for your time tonight.
John, take care.
All right, thank you, Don.
Good to see you, man.
All right, Donnie. We're still looking at. In fact, I am refreshing real quick. And Jeff, if we could put the screen on, just want to let you see what I'm looking at. And the update is that there really is almost no update. If you look, I'm seeing a lot of these in the column. For those of you who can't see, hopefully you can, that's a big fat 0. And that is the issue that we're dealing with right now. I'm currently updating, and I'm in contact with the general registrar, and we're getting numbers again, slowly but surely. As you saw before, we had the unofficial results from 2 precincts in the Stevensburg district, and again, we're looking at the race for school board in said district. In a few minutes, maybe we'll go over and see how they voted in some other areas. But again, I want to remind you, as it looks right now, the unofficial results we have for those 2 precincts in the Stevensburg district, totals is Marshall Keene 1,004 to Hutchins 565. We have one more precinct in the Stevensburg district to report, so we can't say anything just yet. But what I can say right now, Donnie, is that we do have a gentleman that we were just talking about in studio. Are your ears burning? Because we were just talking about you as being the challenger.
Yeah.
Hank Mullins, how are you, sir?
Doing pretty good.
Let me see you.
Henry?
You know, I'm sitting here, you know, Mr. Mullins, and you just know everybody, and you're calling them by the first name.
We're most of these guys I've been buddies with for years. So
You guys have been friends since like the 1905s, right?
long time, long time.
I remember I helped Donnie on when they had the 250. I said, I'll help you on the parade, since I did the parade on the 4th of July. And
Yep.
Oh, really?
We certainly did.
Well, Hank, when we were talking about with John Russell just a moment ago as the lone challenger for the town council race, and we've had you before in this chair.
Yes.
I first off want to say thank you for running again, but how do you think your campaign went?
I think it went well, but you just don't know. I think the biggest challenge is that we have a lot of people coming to vote for the governor and have no idea that when they walk in the door about council. That's why I'd like to see it go back to May. This is, I think you get more people involved, and people that are concerned about the town vote for the town in May. You get so many voters that don't realize the town. One lady came out, so I didn't know anybody, so I didn't vote for anybody. I'm canceled, you know. And I think
and I heard one, Pronis was telling me one story that I think is very, very pertinent to our situation in this country right now. But one lady asked him why there were no Democrats and Republicans on the ballot, and he had to explain to her that it was an at-large election. There were no politics in the town council. And she said, well, if there's no Democrats and Republicans, how do I know who to vote for?
I have never voted party lines for any of the local elections. I vote for the person.
Right. But
Yeah.
there are some people who don't.
Yeah.
And that really throws them for a loop when it's an at-large election.
Yeah. So
very true. I mean, there are definitely some people who just go RRR or DDD. Or
Yes.
I, nothing else. It's interesting sometimes. But it's always nice that somebody goes and votes. But, you know, it helps to know what you're voting for. That's for sure. So, Hank, again, as I mentioned when you first sat down, I want to thank you for going again. You obviously wholeheartedly care about this town.
Oh, yeah.
You've been working for Culpeper since day 69 when you came in and started work with the JCs.
Yeah, it's kind of strange. John Gore used to be at the co-op. It was a triplet milling company before that. He just came by the store and got me to join the JCs. I hadn't been in a month in town, and it's the best thing I ever did. I got to know people and got me involved. And unfortunately, JCs are no longer around Culpeper. They're still an organization, but not in Culpeper. When I was president, we had 87 members.
Oh, we were talking about that earlier with RED out front. I mean, that was one of the premier civic groups in Culpeper back in the day. I mean, everybody that moved into town, if you had any company that had a young executive, they encouraged him to vote to get into the JCs.
And the JCETs, we had some members, because at the time it was, if you had a husband had to be in JCs to be a JCET. I know we had some members that were in there because their wives would be in JCET. The JCETs did the hospital.
Yes.
Yeah.
They say, hey, we need a hospital in Culpeper, and they were a big part of that.
JCs built that tennis court that is now a basketball court in front of Floyd T. Benz.
Yeah. Well, I was Don Deal got it started, and we finished it. At least got it paved when I was president. But that was, like maybe 6 years of JC Carnivals to pay for that.
That was a big ticket item.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, but now JC's done some great work. But you have to be amazed at the work that continues to be done, especially through town council. CRI, obviously, is we're intimately involved with.
I'm very involved with the Midday Lions, and we donate a lot of stuff to this town. I mean, for the scholarships and eyeglasses. Of course, the eyeglasses go for the other Lions clubs in town too. Yeah. But it's I'm always involved. All
right. Donnie, any more questions for me?
No, I was just going to ask him, if you are elected, what challenges do you see the town having in the next 3 or 4 years? Everything is running pretty smoothly right now. Anything that you see that might pop up as a...
Well, we need more sidewalks, and I think they're getting ready to do Spareville Pike, and sometimes I think we need to have a grant writer for the town. I was at a meeting down in Roanoke when I was still working for the town, and one of the Bedford County had a grant writer, and they were able to get grants, and it was the person paid for himself getting those grants, sidewalks to schools and that kind of thing. Really priority to me is first step, getting a rec center for the young kids. I grew up having that, and I was active in the YMCA. I was a camp counselor at YMCA, and I was on the board when YMCA was here in town. And that's not an easy start. You just say you can't drop it at YMCA, because the first time it went around, it failed. I think the population is big enough where it can do something now. But it's start. Want a pool, but pools last, rec center first, and it's got to be a cooperation between the county, the school board, and private donation to get something started. And then you got to keep it paid and keep it upkeep. I saw a thing where Charlottesville has a indoor pool, outdoor pool. They put a bubble on it in the wintertime, and it's an outdoor pool in the summertime. Of course, it's heated. I would think that'd be a cheaper way to go.
Well, I'm like you. I think the key is to turn it over to the YMCA, let them run it, because the one prime example is the swimming pool over at Fauquier, which is losing money in a big way over there. That's being subsidized.
And that was given to them.
Yeah, but it's the maintenance and
maintaining
running it.
Yes.
That is the real expense that goes on forever.
Well, pardon me. Again, Hank, over the years you've done some fantastic work. I wish you the best of luck, but you definitely understand that this is definitely an uphill battle against the incumbents. But I know, regardless of the outcome, you're going to continue to serve Culpeper and the greater good. I know that.
No votes yet.
No. It always happens. Sometimes people come in, and when they're either the challenger, the vote, it happened with Jamie Clancy.
Yeah.
It happened with some others before. And I was like, oh, Hank's coming in. It's got to happen. But it does not seem to be the case this time.
I think it's a little slower with this new system, I guess.
Well, we hyped up the system a little bit. And, I'm sure everything's going to be fine. I'm guessing that it's going to be a waterfall effect, and all the results from all precincts are going to come in all at once, probably in like 30 seconds.
Would you get me something from McDonald's for breakfast in the morning while we're sitting here waiting?
All right. Again, Hank, I thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you.
I thank you for your great work, and I hope you continue to see you around town.
Okay.
All right, Hank.
Thank
Take
you.
care, Henry.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I tell you what, Donnie, I'm looking at this, and if I could have one of our staff members catch an eye with me on just 1 second, I would send a little message to him. hopefully, hey, come on in, have a seat.
Hey, thank you, thank you.
How are you?
Good, nice to see you again.
Good to see you, Marshall.
Hey, Donnie.
Marshall?
Yes, sir. How you doing, buddy?
All right, and one of the things I wanted to mention here is, in fact, that I got a text, and it seems that it's going to be unofficially your seat for the school board in Stevensburg District.
That's what they're telling me.
So again, I guess congratulations is
Yes,
in
sir.
order.
Thank
so
you.
again, congratulations.
Thanks, sir. Yes, sir.
So how do you think your campaign went?
Well, there's a lot of hard work. I can tell you, for people who's never done it before, it takes a lot of work in there, and I owe a lot of it to my family and friends who supported me, and the community who came out and voted for me and have been behind me since April. So you talk about my campaign, it's a lot of hard work, and we put the time in, and I think hard work pays off.
So as you mentioned, first time.
Yes, sir.
This whole entire thing has got to be a little bit new to you.
It is new.
What are some of the things that kind of caught you off guard or impressed you?
I'll tell you, learn a lot about people. So, there's a lot of great people here in Culpeper, and they want to talk to you. And, that takes a little bit getting used to, going out and talking to people, especially about issues. It's easy to ask, people to vote for you, but they want to engage you, and they want to know why should you vote for them. So that caught me off guard a little bit. But then once I got the hang of that, it's smooth sailing.
Donnie?
Well, I know you ran a tough campaign.
I appreciate it.
You and I talked at the ball game the other night about some of the issues and everything, and that's one of the things that you have done. You have come up with issues and came up with ways to solve them, hopefully, theoretically, and that's always the way it is. But
I appreciate
looks like you pulled it through.
Yes, sir. Well, we talk about the issues, Donnie. A lot of those issues just aren't my issues. Those are issues that I've got from the parents, teachers, staff, even students. So, a lot of those, some of those issues were my issues, but at the same token I try to be the voice of everyone, and that's what I.
That's it. You have to. A lot of people tell you a lot of things.
Yes, sir.
But you have to be able to be the one to pick out the good things from the bad things and try to move on with them.
Yes, sir.
All right. So now that we are unofficially, you are unofficially the new school board. Donnie mentioned earlier a little bit regarding when Betsy was here regarding change in possible leadership. But what is the next step coming in as a new school board member after this entire process? What are you looking to do first? What do you want to do first?
Well, I think the first thing from what I've gathered from some of the school board members is you got to learn your role there, okay? And I look forward to working with all those board members, every one of them. And it's a collaborative effort. It's a team effort. And my first goal was going to be to learn the role of school board member and take it as it goes. And they say that there's a lot of information coming at you really fast, and you have to take a deep breath and take it all in. So.
I assume that goes for anybody who comes into a new board, especially one that serves as many individuals as the school board does.
Yes, sir.
So I don't envy the work that's coming your way. I tell you that.
Yeah. They say it's a lot. So.
And it can be frustrating.
It can.
I know several people that are in politics that are close friends of mine, and they get in there and they find out, man, I wanted to do this, but I can't do this. There's a government regulation against this. There's all kinds of reasons you can't. And it is frustrating, and that's one of the things that you will probably have to overcome, and I know you will.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
All right. Now, I know, again, you mentioned earlier that the people you're working with and your family. Anybody else you want to thank for their hard work and dedication?
Well, most importantly, it's been a joke, about who my campaign manager's been. It's been my daughter, Emma. Emma, she's a 16-year-old. She goes to Eastern View High School, and her and I have beat the bushes together since April. And without her, she's been my rock this past 8-9 months. And
that's pretty incredible.
It is. And then there's other people too. Nick Freitas has been a huge help to the whole Republican Party in that ticket. Being a first-time candidate, it's new, and they've been behind me the whole time, and I appreciate that.
All right. Donnie, any follow-ups for Mr.?
I think you pretty well covered it, and I wish him well. I wish you well.
I appreciate it.
Well, I know I'm going to be filming the school board meetings coming up
Yes, sir.
sometime soon, and I wish you the best of luck.
I appreciate it.
And we'll see you at basketball games.
That's right, basketball. That's right.
It's only a few weeks away.
That's right.
Real quick, I'd just like to thank Elizabeth for her time here on the school board. She's been here for 16 years, and she's been the bedrock for this school system for this. For 16 years, she's done a lot. She's accomplished a lot, and we're going to miss her. I'm going to be looking up to her to maybe answer some questions from the Stevensburg district and for some help and some guidance. So I appreciate everything she's done, and we look forward to moving on.
I'm sure she would appreciate you saying that. Well, again, some big shoes, and looking forward to filling them adequately.
Good.
For sure.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, thank you for
Yes,
coming
sir.
in, and
Thank-
congratulations
Thank
again.
you, sir. Thanks, Donnie.
Congratulations, sir.
Yep.
All right, again, the unofficial results is that Marshall Keene will be our new school board representative in the Stevensburg district. The final vote tally has not been given in, but again, with projections the way they are, I don't have my fancy digital light board. If you want, I could probably pull it up. But
I think it's I think when you got a 400 or 500 vote lead in one little district to go, you're in pretty good shape.
All right. Well, Donnie, I tell you what, we've been at it for an hour. We're not done yet. But I tell you what, Donnie, what I would like to do is I would like to take a break just for a couple moments, get our bearings, line up some additional guests, and see about numbers. And I tell you what, if we could possibly take a break for just a couple moments, we'll get some more information hopefully for you, and we'll talk about some more stuff regarding our election coming up in just a few moments. So, ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere.
No, because we still have a Jefferson district for the
We
Board of
do.
Supervisors, which is a biggie.
It is.
Don't want to miss that.
Oh, I do not want to miss that at all. I'll be here, Donnie will be here, and you should be too. So, folks, again, we're going to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere. More live election coverage right here on Culpeper Media Network in just a few moments. gentlemen, welcome back to the studios here at Culpeper Media Network. We told you we'd have a short break, and we just did. Before we, actually, we have a wonderful guest in studio, but before we do that, I'm hyping you up a little bit. Before we do that, we're going to go ahead and read through some election results that we currently have. All right, so right now we're going to concentrate on the East and West Fairfax, and we'll look at the town council candidates. I'm going to read these from an image below. In fact, you know what? Jeff, let's have a little fun, if you don't mind. Let's see if I don't break our technology. This will be interesting, folks. All right. We'll see how it goes. All right, we'll go ahead and just run these through. East Fairfax, we are looking at the the town council race. And all right, we're going to go from Keith D. Price. Keith Price, and this is East. Let me just make sure this is East Fairfax again. Yes, East Fairfax. Keith Price has 587 votes. Pranas Ramikas with 501. Billy Yao, that's you, with 663. Hank Mullins with 407. And John Russell with 639. Now, again, that is the unofficial result from East Fairfax. We're going to go ahead and run through those numbers one more time. Keith Price with 587. Pranas Ramikas with 501. Billy Yao with 663. Hank Mullins with 407. And John Russell with 639. That is for the East Fairfax. Now, if you'll bear with me, here we go with the West Fairfax. Oh, wait a minute. All right, in the West Fairfax for the town council race, Keith Price with 705 votes, Pranas Ramikas with 680, Billy Yao with 863, get it, and Hank Mullins with 649, John Russell with 867. Again, as you can see on the screen, or you did see on the screen just a moment ago, Keith Price with 705, Pranas Ramikas with 680, Billy Yao with 863, and Hank Mullins with 649, and John Russell with 867. So, first off, I want to say very quickly that the gentleman sitting to my left is a gentleman who had the second highest vote count by a mere fraction of 4 in your precinct, and then one of the top vote getters in the other precinct for the candidates race for the town council. Billy Yao, first off, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us.
Again, why mess with tradition? How do you think it went for you?
Very, very cold.
Yeah, it was an unseasonably warm day.
This is the first time I have run in the fall, so everything is completely new and unexpected.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what the voter turnout would be, how it would be, how you could relate to the folks that don't vote in the May elections that we used to have, that do come out and vote when we have gubernatorial races, Senate races, and presidential races. So it's a new experience, but obviously I'm very pleased.
Yeah, again, you had 863. You were 4 shy of the top voter getter in West Fairfax. And then in East Fairfax, you were 663, the top vote getter. So that has to bode well for you. And it seemingly is a testament to the folks thinking you're doing a fantastic job.
Well, I think the whole council is doing a good job. And I've heard some of the interviews that you folks were doing earlier tonight, and I agree with everything that was said, that our council has worked well together. I've got to take my hat off, though, to Hank Mullins. He's a hard worker for our community. He will continue to do that, but he ran a good campaign. I'm sorry he lost, but I think that the voters have determined the council has been doing a good job, so all the incumbents were reelected.
Yeah, that's one of the things we were talking about earlier. Overcoming the incumbents of town council is a difficult thing to do.
Especially when there's no controversy. And there has been none in the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, and that's correct. And that's a testament also to the work that the staff does. And they have just been outstanding, and under the leadership of Chris Hobley, and I think that they make our job easier. And as Keith Price said earlier, you know, they come up with good ideas. We are the policy makers, and if we endorse that, then it's implemented by the staff.
Yeah, Chris first class.
Absolutely.
Chris says he knows the community, and I was really glad you got him in there, town manager, because bringing in somebody new is always tough, and we've tried that a couple of times. It has not worked out well. Chris has been here a while. He knows it from the county standpoint. He knows it from the town standpoint. He knows the people. But the best part of it all is he gets along well with everybody. He can handle people.
And that's correct. You couldn't have said it any better.
All right. Well, again, Mr. Chase, very kind words regarding Hank. But what's next for you, and what's next for council? Well, I mean, besides tonight, because I know you're looking to get home and get warm.
I think we continue to do what we're doing, and that is that we've become more transparent just by the nature of even local politics, and I think that we're reaching out to those citizens who have concerns, and we're trying to address those. And as somebody else has said here tonight, you can't always make everybody happy, but you certainly lend that ear, and I think that's very important in local government. I'm a proponent of keeping our taxes down, real estate taxes, I should say, and hoping to keep our infrastructure really strong. And one of the things that we're doing right now is we're developing these new wells. We've got 3 of them online. We have several more to go. That's going to make it feasible for us to withstand any kind of drought that we ever might have in the future. And it provides nice clean water that goes right directly into our system. And that was another thing that Chris Hively was instrumental in promoting.
Yeah. And one of the big projects that nobody's discussed tonight is the dam renovation.
Well, yeah, and that's ongoing, and you're absolutely right. But once again, Chris Hively got on board real fast with that and got us federally authorized grants so that we're paying a very small portion of that $16 million plus project. And that's just a great savings to the taxpayers. Now, all this was mandated by EPA. So we have no choice. We have to do it, and it's for the safety of the community, but those are expensive projects. Okay.
Any other questions when you ask for our now, again, re-elected town council?
Yes. Mr. Vice Mayor here. No, listen, I've known Billy since high school. I mean, we grew up together in school. He was 8 to 10 years older than me, but we still knew each other.
And look at 2.
Yeah. And Billy's done a great job. Billy he has the interest of the community in mind, has always, and I encouraged him, 10 years ago to run for mayor. And he always told me, well, it's time constraints, but Billy is the local people. He knows the people, and he has served the people well, and I have a lot of respect for him.
Thank you. Boy, build your ego up. I might have to come by here more
really
often, even though you're not an election.
But he speaks the truth. You've done a fantastic job for a number of years.
I'll cut you down in the paper, don't worry.
Yeah.
Well, you know it's coming.
Yeah.
Well, again, Billy, I thank you for your service over the many years. You've done a great job, and I know you, as well as town council, are just working for the betterment of the Culpeper as a whole, and we appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
I hope you have a great night, sir.
Thank you.
Hopefully I'll see you here in a few minutes once all these election results come in.
Get warm, buddy.
All right. Really quickly, Donnie, we're going to go back to those town council numbers in just a moment. But I wanted to remind you, we were talking earlier about getting one more district from the one more precinct from the Stevensburg district, and that was Richardsville. And we do have the unofficial results from that. And this is the race that has been projected fairly distinctly in Marshall Keene's favor, as he was in studio with us earlier. I just want to give you the numbers. In the Richardsville precinct, Marshall Keene had 188 votes to Elizabeth Hutchins' 113. Again, in the Richardsville precinct in Stevensburg district, Marshall Keene, 188 votes to Elizabeth Hutchins, 113.
So there was no split decision. He carried all 3 and carried them pretty well.
He did. He most certainly did. Again, as you see there, that's what, 65, 75? Sorry. Math is just fantastic. 72, 5, yeah, whatever. He carried it, and over 3 precincts, that's pretty decisive victory.
And that's one of the things I'm really interested. I would really hope that those Jefferson District numbers come in pretty well, because I was out at the polls today and I talked to Chuck Duncan and I talked to Bradley Rosenberger, and you would have thought that Bradley would have been upbeat with the big turnout, but he was kind of leery, and he said, you know, I worry that this big turnout is here to make a change, and you never know. And I think that's what happened in the Stevensburg district, and I don't know that. You never know about people voting. There's two things you can never predict. I always say what a jury will do and how an election will come out. And Elizabeth Hutchins had to be the odds-on favorite down there. And in the beginning, I didn't think that Marshall would be able to take this, and he did.
Well, I mean, I mean, let's face facts. Elizabeth Hutchins does a great job, and she has for a long time. And being an incumbent for so many years, and it was when the election started, nobody thought that it was going to happen.
Yep.
But slowly and surely, again, as Marshall himself was saying, he was out there working social media, going door to door and talking to folks, and obviously it made a difference.
But sometimes people just want change, just for the sake of change, and they'll say, well, he's been in there too long, or she's been in there too long, we need new blood. And that may be what happened this time.
Yeah, this is definitely a possibility. All right, real quick, we're going to go through. I'm sorry, you have to pardon me. There are a few people other than the general registrar who have my number, and they're being interesting. All right, so East Fairfax we've gone through, and West Fairfax. We're going to go ahead and looking at some other. Trying to think. You want to go through? Should I go through the town council numbers again?
Sure.
Let's do that because I have those and I have totals for them. First off, we want to remind you the top vote getter in the East and West Fairfax for the town council race. The top vote getter overall was Billy L. with 1,526, and then next was 1,506 with John Russell, and then the next closest vote getter was Keith Price with 1,292. And then the next closest was Pranas Ramikis with 1,181. Those are our four incumbents, and that is where, well, that's where it stops right there. But we do want to give, again, a mention to Hank Mullins, a fantastic showing at 1,056, merely 125 votes shy, or 26 votes to put him over. Oh, is that really? Okay. Those votes shy of becoming a town councilman. It was a pleasure to speak with him. We thank him for his time. Now, I have been in contact with James Clements, the general registrar of Culpeper County, and the registrar's office is having some issues, which is, to be honest with you, a little bit to be expected when you're dealing with brand new systems countywide. But they are working on it, and one of the races that we have been talking about this evening, and we're going to continue shortly, is the one for the Jefferson District, with Chuck Duncan and Brad Rosenberger for the Board of Supervisors seat. Now, I just got a note from our staff, who's doing a phenomenal job tonight, by the way, is that the results are going to be actually physically driven in to the registrar's office. And
I have heard that they have the fastest horse in the Jefferson District pulling that wagon.
Well, I figured telegraph at this point might have been a little bit faster. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that out loud. I apologize.
I'll second the motion.
Well, it's 8:30, and I'm just giving them a hard time. But I know they are busting their tails over there to try to get results out, but they just haven't gotten to it yet. Obviously, some issues with the new system, which hopefully in the coming days we'll learn more about. And I know next election that'll be taken care of.
No, next election they will change to a new system.
Don't say that.
Don't say that. They always do.
Oh, jeez.
That's government.
Yeah, very true. All right, so the Jefferson results are coming in. I have some Southridge. I'm trying to find out. We talked with Richardsville. That's the Stevensburg district. Bill Chase won, by the way, in case you were curious. Bill Chase won.
And this is Bill Chase, and a lot of people don't know this, but Bill Chase is the longest serving supervisor in the history of Culpeper County.
In the history?
In the history of Culpeper County.
Wow.
This is his 10th term. 40 years.
Wow.
40 years.
That is impressive.
I know, considering the fact that he is only about 45 years old.
He really started serving out of the womb. Is what happened.
Just about did. But Bill is and Bradley Rosenberger is the second longest serving.
32 years?
32 years. Before that, you had to go back to, I think, Ab White in the 1940s, who was there for, I think, 26 years. So, I mean, we got 2 veterans on there.
Well, you know, it's the amount of wisdom involved in those 2 persons alone is, I would say, it's definitely a contributing factor to the success of the county as well as the town.
And nobody stands up for his constituency like Bill Chase. Bill Chase, when somebody comes up with a problem, he tries to work it out for him. I'll give the man credit.
I have never seen anybody, I've never seen Board of Supervisors more adamant about things that his constituents have told him. Most notably, when he's talking about the new interchange in his district, he is very, very vocal for his constituents, and I know they appreciate that. Well, I mean, how long he's been serving again?
40 years.
40 years.
40 years.
Pretty incredible.
That's a long time. Before I was born.
I was going to say it, but I'm glad you did.
Yeah,
first,
thank you. I appreciate that.
Because we're really close in age. I know.
Yes, we are.
All right. So again, we are. The Jefferson District results are going to be physically driven in. I thought, again, maybe, Morse code or something like that. Yes, the horse and buggy is on its way, and we will have those results for you as soon as we come in. We have somebody over at the General Registrar's office waiting for those results, right? We have somebody at the Registrar's office waiting for those results, and we will have them to you as soon as they have them as well. All right, so again, we've gone through the topics of the town councilman. We have also gone through and had the pleasure of welcoming Marshall Keene to sitting with us, the new representative to the school board for the Stevensburg district. We could run through some of the other numbers for the other stuff, but you know what? Let's. Would you like to go? Where do you want to go? Where do you want to go?
Let's mention that Jack Frazier is been reelected over in Cedar Mountain District.
You know, it's a really good point. We haven't really focused yet on the uncontested races.
No. And
so
Betsy?
Let's talk about,
yeah.
But I mean, let's talk a little bit about Jack Frazier over in Cedar Mountain.
Yeah, Jack, he's had a very low profile campaign while he's running unopposed, so that does make a difference, but of course he's the chairman of the Board of Supervisors this year, and so he was reelected, and that's kind of slipped under the radar there. He says this is going to be his last term. I've heard that story many times before. But Jack's done a good job on there, and of course Jack is involved in this new industrial school that they're putting in down at Carver, Piedmont, and so he's very involved in a lot of things outside of the board.
Well, you know, Jack Frazier, again, you're very quietly under the radar. He is kind of a bit of a quiet thunder. He definitely he does a fantastic job. He's my representative. I think he does a great job, and he's very. He kind of reminds me. I think him and Keith are a little bit of the same ilk, where they try to make sure that they understand, they do their homework, and they try to make sure that the folks who are watching or listening or trying to learn more about their local government are able to understand the intricacies of all the details that are laid before them.
Well, he wants to understand it too. He delves in, he digs in deep. He doesn't let anything skip by him on there, and he's very good about that. Right. And now, let's see, we have
disembodied hand.
Oh my goodness, what do we have here?
We have Rixieville. Oh, a Jefferson District results.
Oh my!
All right,
the horse.
I don't know who's over there. You tell them to park it over there.
Tell them
the
don't.
Allison Brophy champion. Thank you so much. ABC, I love her terribly.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Tell them don't water the horse until he cools off.
Oh, okay. All right. So I'm sorry, I missed what you said. Steve was talking to me over there.
It wasn't worth repeating.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Everything you say is worth
I just said tell them to make sure that they cool the horse off before they give him water.
All right, so again, we have one precinct reporting from the Jefferson District, and this is Rixieville. And we can say that Brad Rosenberger has 696 votes. Chuck Duncan has 391. Again, from the Rixieville precinct in the Jefferson District, Brad Rosenberger with 696 votes to Chuck Duncan's 391. Now, again, that is a sizable lead, but it's not over until it's over. So, again, we want to thank them for their time and thank you for those numbers. If somebody could, you know what I did? I forgot to write those down. 690. Look at you, 696 to 391. So, again, that's just one precinct reporting. What does that tell you?
Well, I think it tells me that Brad was wrong that the people didn't come out for change. Mm-hmm. So I think they're pretty well satisfied with what Bradley's been doing, and it looks like he's going to get elected. I would say you've got Quail Ridge and you've got South Wales out there with a lot of people in it, but I think he can carry enough of the local people to prevail in that precinct. So I'd say it looks really good for us. You get a 400, 300-point lead. It's hard to catch up.
It is. And again, especially because I think that district, kind of the way the precincts the way there are, it's just I think will be. Again, that's a large number to overcome.
It is,
especially with turnout hovering. Well, you said 30% ish.
Yeah, it was over 30% of the people 30%? That had voted by 1 o'clock. So I would say that maybe you're going to get 40 to 45%, which is unusual for. One thing you got to remember about this governor's race: this is the only governor's race in the United States.
Yeah.
This is the only one. So there's a lot of focus on that. They were talking about this at 5 o'clock news about the fact that they wanted to see how Trump would figure into this race, and it's going to be interesting to see that. But that brought a lot of people out, and of course, Chuck Duncan ran a tough campaign out there in Jefferson too. So that brought a lot of people out. There were two good races: the Stevensburg School Board and the Jefferson District Board of Supervisors were both hard-fought races, and they brought their people out.
Indeed, they were. I know, and again, just those numbers for voter turnout alone indicate as such. I think you're absolutely right there. And going back to what you're saying, being Virginia being the only governor's race, and you talked about Trump, he just tweeted out, I think it was yesterday, about his support for Gillespie and was making the call.
Right.
And I supporters of his and of Gillespie were surging to the polls. So who knows what difference that made, if any.
It's really interesting. You know, in the last week, I've got personal calls from both Donald Trump and Barack Obama.
You are a popular guy.
I'm telling you, it's amazing who you get to call you, and I hung up on both of them.
You don't discriminate.
I do not. You know, I'm down the middle. I'm not Democrat or Republican. I just slapped them both back.
I completely understand.
Robocalls.
Yeah, they are terrible. Okay, so we have gone through some numbers. Again, we have one more precinct to report from the Jefferson District. But as we talked about now, our contested races, we still have one left to kind of decide. But again, we were talking earlier about Jack Frazier. We had Betsy Smith in studio, and we again want to thank her for doing so. Let's talk about, we talked a little bit about Chase, Mr. Chase, longest serving board member in the history of Culpeper County.
Yes.
That is quite incredible. All right, so, and one of the people that we didn't have the opportunity to have in studio was another uncontested race was Michelle North for school board. We had her in here in the studio earlier. She's maybe a little camera shy, didn't want to hop on. But again, she too is running unopposed, and so I think she's going to take it. And she's done some great work in the school board. I think she's done some great work in the school board so far.
Oh yeah, Michelle is very interested in what she does out there, and she's a good school board member, and she's done a good job, and I think she will continue to do a good job.
Well, I tell you what, and we were talking with Marshall Keene earlier, and one of the things that he talked about when he was first going to get started in his new position was, I think he said, gotta be quiet and learn your role and know, where you are or how to be a school board.
And for Marshall, that's going to be hard, the being quiet part. I know Marshall
really
well.
He's a talker.
He's a talker.
Well, but I think when Michelle came on, she kind of did the same thing. She was quiet
Yeah.
and she, was listening, which makes the biggest difference when you're part of a board. And so hopefully he can follow that example and become as good a member, if not better, than Michelle has.
Oh, I think Marshall will do fine, and he'll figure it all out in very short order. And the one thing he'll have to figure out, a lot of people get on the board and they think they're going to change the world, or at least their perception in the campaign is they're going to change the world. They get on there, they find their one vote, and that there are in Culpeper there are 6 other votes that they have to deal with.
Yeah.
And it gets to be political, and you have to kind of make friends and make vote friends to get anything done, which is one of the problems we're having in D.C. now, because we can't nationally, nobody can get along with anybody, and they can't compromise. And you have to do that in a small town.
Yeah.
You have to do that
Absolutely.
if you're going to get anything done. But Marshall will figure it out, and hopefully he'll do well.
I know he may initially have a tough time with the way things have gone, but I think he'll do fine.
Oh, I think he'll be fine, too.
Yeah.
He's a good fellow.
You have some pretty acute observations. You might want to get into writing.
Well, yeah.
Give
If
it a
they get the
shot.
Jefferson District in here, I could go write my story tonight.
I know. Hopefully, again, we have spiders everywhere, and we have not yet reported from them, but we will hear back. So again, Donnie, I'm not going to go through all the precincts unless you want to.
I don't.
Hey.
I don't.
I didn't even finish.
And neither do the people. I was going to say out there in television land, but now we're on Facebook land and we're on YouTube land.
We're all over the place.
I mean, on cable land.
Yeah, we're everywhere, buddy.
I mean, it's.
You're a superstar.
And,
Soak it in.
And it's incredible.
R.J. Sosna's even watching. That's kind of a big deal.
Who?
He's a buddy of mine.
Oh, okay.
He's one of my outside guys who's looking and making sure everything goes to plan.
Oh, okay.
Donnie, now look at that. You got me all off track now. And there he goes. All right, so one of the other things I wanted to mention, and if I have to go through my notes, folks, you have to pardon me, it's a live program. And so we're having a little bit of fun and talking about what's going on. Let me see here. Oh, yeah, while I have this moment, I want to remind you and everybody watching that this Saturday, obviously, is Veterans Day. If you like, and we'd love to have you, the Culpeper National Cemetery is having their annual ceremony, 11 a.m. We will be broadcasting live here on Culpeper Media Network. It is always a fantastic event, and one that I wish everyone would attend. Again, it's this Saturday, November the 11th, at 11 a.m. at Culpeper National Cemetery. They always do a fantastic job. One of the other things notices that I got, and it was almost a plea. Are you familiar with the Christmas wreaths that they lay at the cemetery over the holidays?
Yes, absolutely.
So if folks are interested, they need to look up that, because currently they are at a drop for wreaths. Last year we had an individual come through at the last minute with a donation of 538 wreaths, I believe it was. And this year they're a little short. So we're going to make sure we have that information on the station for the weeks to come. So if you want to help out, you can. All right.
And somebody will help out. Somebody
I know.
always does. Somebody always comes forward when they're needed.
Well, that's one of the things I love about this town and this county.
It is.
Whenever somebody or something is in need and it's important, the folks pull through.
If we can just get somebody to
I know, perfect segue, right? That's exactly what I was going to say.
to pull us out of the State Theater here. That's that's one of the things that it really bugs me. And I know we're killing time here.
Oh, you're fine.
We can talk about that, but there was so much. Everybody wanted that to be a success, and I just hope somebody can pull that out and make it work again. It's that was one of the big gems of this downtown.
Yeah.
And it's so sad to see that dark down there.
It is. It's one of those things. I mean, we've been doing work with the State Theater, since Raven and Raven sat right here in studio before I think the first time we had the architectural plans of the building.
Yep.
And so we've been involved, and it was such a great idea, and it just.
And I really enjoyed the shows they had.
Well,
State of the art everything.
Yeah.
if somebody could get, but it's going to have to be some philanthropist that can afford to lose money. I think it's well, and that's the truth, because a 500-seat auditorium can't very well pay for itself. So hopefully somebody will come forward with that and bring that back to life.
Yeah, and there's a lot of talk of how that's going to happen. Obviously, the auction, the first one got postponed, the second one got postponed again. But there's a lot of talk about a private company coming in and taking it over that does this nationwide. But you never know. We won't know until it happens.
I was hoping, and it may be that the Library of Congress would step in. I think that would be the ideal partnership in this whole thing. Now, I know the Library of Congress has their own theater out there, and I went out to a show last week, and it was really great.
Did you see the Marty Stewart show?
Yeah, Connie Smith.
Oh.
Very nice. Sold out in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
3 minutes.
I don't know if perfect. Thank you. So just a quick little story, since we're kind of killing time, and folks, this is a good community story.
I know some blonde jokes.
Oh God, please no, please no. No, actually, after that concert over at the Packard campus, Marty Stewart and Connie Smith actually came to Piedmont Steakhouse.
Yeah.
And they were going to have dinner up there with not their entourage, but their group of friends. I think it was like 9 or 10 of them. And Steve Miller, owner of Piedmont, was seating them upstairs. Got to give them some privacy. And so, but Marty Stewart came in, and he actually sat at the bar and was conversing with patrons for like a good hour and a half. And that's how much he loves Culpeper.
And that's the difference. Country music people do that. You realize that Connie Smith is 76 years old?
No, I did not realize that.
76 years old.
Marty Stewart is no spring chicken either.
No, he's not, but he's 17 years younger than she is.
Yeah, and his hair is about 20 years younger than that.
But that was a great show. I love the Library of Congress and the Packard Center out there. Some of the shows they put on, everyone, because I was in that when the earthquake hit.
You and I were sitting right next to each other.
Yeah, and I sound like a freak, and I thought, this is some special effect thing they've tried out on here. And the whole mountain was about to fall down.
Yeah, it was. That was an interesting day.
That was.
All right. For those of you just joining us, an old trick done by somebody, if we want to, if we can, we're going to go through some of these other numbers. Again, just want to remind everybody, let's go ahead and go through some of the totals. Again, Town Council, Billy Yao had the most votes with 1,526. I heard the door open. I have high hopes. 1,506 votes for John Russell, our second top vote getter for Town Council. 1,292 votes for Keith Price, who we had the pleasure of sitting in studio with. 1,181 votes for Pranas Ramikas. And unfortunately, 1,056 for Hank Mullins, who was the lowest vote getter and will not take a seat on council.
So the 4 incumbents are back.
The 4 incumbents are back. The 4 incumbents are back. Was she jumping because she had results? All right, Brad Rosenberger is what?
Unofficially has won.
Oh, well, I'm gonna beat somebody up because I'm not getting numbers. We had reports from individual Michelle, who was over at the registrar's office just mere moments ago. She's one of the many folks who are helping out tonight. Thank you so much. We want to say that unofficially, it seems as though Mr. Rosenberger has retained his seat. Again, we'll get those numbers to you hopefully as soon as we possibly can. But as it now is, it's unofficially Brad Rosenberger's seat for the Board of Supervisors of the Jefferson District. So that's one that we can go ahead and mention right now. Again, these numbers are completely unofficial until certified, but pretty sure that is correct.
And those are all the contested races.
Indeed, they certainly were.
They certainly are.
All right. Well, you know what? We started getting off there, and perfect timing on you, by the way. So I tell you what, Donnie, I think we can go ahead and call it a night. It is currently 8:50 in the p.m. It looks as though we have unofficial results for all of our contested races. Now, folks, what we're going to do is we are going to continue to give you more information. Once the results come in, they will be on the bottom of your screen for the remainder of the evening. We will let you know how Culpeper voted in all of the elections, both contested, uncontested, and for the Lieutenant Governor, Governor, and Attorney General. And we will continue to work through the night to make sure you have the most information. And it also is kind of nice to see how your community votes for issues that you care about. Now, while we go ahead and say goodbye, I want to remind you, thank you so much. It's been a long, long evening, but it's been a fun one. For those of you watching on Comcast Channel 10, FiOS Channel 21, online at culpepermedia.org, or on YouTube in high definition, I'm sorry about that spot on my tie. It happened at lunch. I didn't mean for it, but we thank you. Oh, wait. Look at that. You got to love that. As I'm doing the wrap-up, we have numbers coming in.
Hold the presses.
Hold
I've
the
always
presses.
wanted to say that.
The horse. It's just your hand, you know. All right.
And they're wet, so you know that they're.
Yeah, they are
They're
very
wet. They didn't put those numbers in the saddlebag.
Yeah. All right. So Jefferson. These are the people that I work with, folks. All right. For the Jefferson precinct in the Jefferson district, we are looking at Brad Rosenberger with 664 votes to Chuck Duncan's 474 votes. Again, Brad Rosenberger with 664 votes and Chuck Duncan with 474 votes. Mr. Pardon me, you got a dry throat. Mr. Rosenberger retains his seat, and congratulations, Brad. I know you're going to continue to do a great job, and I know that, as you mentioned, it was a hard-fought race, and Chuck, I think, has nothing to be ashamed of at all.
Chuck did everything he could.
Yep.
He gave it his all, and it just was. It's hard to beat somebody that's been in there for 8 terms.
It really
is. I mean, unless they do something that really irritates the voters, it's hard to beat an incumbent. I mean, he's practically a piece of the furniture.
That's a good point. All right, and all right, so we have unofficials. We have unofficial calls for all of our contested races.
4 incumbents in the town have won. Marshall Keene has defeated in an upset Elizabeth Hutchins in the Stevensburg District School Board race, and Brad Rosenberger topped Chuck Duncan and remains a supervisor from the Jefferson District.
Very well said, and with no notes, mind you. Mine like a steel trap.
I am.
All right, so as we wrap things up, I want to say thanks to so many folks. And I have a list that I want to get to. I do not want to miss anyone. I want to say thanks to all the guests that came in: Nick Freitas, Mike Ollinger, Keith Price, Betsy Smith, John Russell, Hank Mullins, Marshall Keene. Did I write down who came in after Marshall Keene? Billy Yao. Sorry, I forgot to write him down. I was so excited to see him and results.
Did we get Betsy in there?
Betsy Smith.
Yeah, we did.
Yes, I did.
No, I can't leave out Betsy.
No. We want to thank all of our guests for coming in. And I know, again, the registrar's office was having a hard time with numbers tonight, but I know they constantly work, and they are going crazy over there as we speak. In case you're curious, I want to say thanks to the electoral board members, and Jan Huss, chairman, James Holmes, vice chairman, Clive Richmond, secretary, and of course General Registrar James Clements, and Melissa Hart, the assistant registrar. They do a wonderful job over there. I know they're having a rough night, and they're doing their best. Now, for in studio, I want to say thank you to everyone who is helping out tonight. Of course, Donnie, without you, this wouldn't be possible. You make me sound like I know what I'm talking about.
Well, I don't know about that, but I have enjoyed it. It's a lot of fun. We always have a good time when we get together.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you, dude.
And working from the front of the room to the back, Dan Nicholson, who's running camera today, doing a great job making sure everything goes good in studio. Michael Douglas doing a superb job on sound. Jeffrey Stanfill, our technical director. I have the honor of working with him each and every day. He is a beyond integral part to the station and its operations in this community. I want to thank him especially. Again, also R.E. Dean we had in here, and Haley Fritz doing a fantastic job managing and making sure everything goes on outside without a hitch. Sue Hansen was here helping out as well. Michelle North as well. Haley, fantastic job. Sue, you did a decent job. Admirable, we'll say. But most of all, I want to thank you. I appreciate it. Without your support, none of this would be possible. Thank you for tuning in, whether it be on Comcast, FiOS, YouTube, Facebook, or online at culpepermedia.org. What? Oh, where's Mark Callahan? Did I not forget? I forgot Mark Callahan. Mark Callahan, represented from the school board, also a cable commission member. He was the guy dealing with me, and he was responsible. Mark Callahan was, for giving me the litany of all those results. He was the one that saved the show at like 8 o'clock. That's
Wonderful.
why I was.
You couldn't leave him out.
I know. I was saving him to give him.
Sue
a special
just said
spot.
she saved the show because she got you the last list.
Sue, I think Sue left already, so we're set.
Okay.
All right, folks. Thank you to everyone who made this this event possible. We will continue to post results throughout the evening and bring you important updates about your community as long as we have the opportunity to do so. I want to thank everyone in studio, all of our guests, and all of you for watching. Another wonderful, fun election night coverage. Folks, until we see you again at one of the many events in and around our Culpeper, I hope you have a great day, a great night, and a better tomorrow.